Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets because over the last 24 to 48 hours or so, something interesting has happened to Bitcoin here. As you can see, Bitcoin had been trending down, but we actually managed to put a bottom in and get support here in between around $6,350 and $6,400, which is definitely an interesting level for Bitcoin to put a bottom in because there's not really a whole lot of technicals that would point to that being a bottom. I was expecting for Bitcoin to come down here and at least test this uptrend of resistance, this uptrend of support, which has been rather important for the last month or so, but we actually didn't go that low, and Bitcoin has managed to start a little rebound. If we turn our moving averages on here, we do see that Bitcoin did get a little bit of support down here at the 20 simple moving average, but that doesn't really explain why Bitcoin has gotten a bottom here, in my opinion. So in today's video, we're going to try and get to the bottom of why this bottom happened, and then also after we're done with that, we're going to go on and talk about the altcoin markets if we have time. There's something I want to show you on XRP, and there's something I want to show you on Ethereum, but before we get into today's video, guys, if you enjoy the video, as always, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing the notification bell, guys. It does help out the channel if you do it, and it would be appreciative if you did it. Without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin is currently trading just a little bit over $6,500, definitely looking better than it was just a day ago, because like I was saying, Bitcoin came up here to around $6,800 and crashed and put a bottom in at $6,350. That's just a strange level for Bitcoin to put a bottom in. I was expecting it to come down here to around $6,275 down here on this uptrend somewhere and put a bottom in there, because we've seen Bitcoin respect this uptrend quite a lot over the last month or so, but that's not really what happened. So we're going to be talking about that in just a bit. But of course, we have to start the video off with our coin market cap, crypto market recap on coin market cap. Let's give the page a little refresh here, and we'll see that the total Bitcoin's average price across all the exchanges is hovering just a little over 65.50. Excuse me, just a little bit under 65.50 with a daily volume of around $4.45 billion. Not really a big deal, not really anything out of the ordinary. That's pretty bog standard for Bitcoin's daily volume, and Bitcoin hasn't really traded all that much in the last 24 hours. It's gone up by about 0.14%, but not really a whole lot, and that does depend on what exchange you're looking at, because as we can see here, this triangle pattern, this consolidation pattern that I have, it actually looks like Bitcoin's breaking bullish out of it as we're recording. Maybe we'll get another one of those videos where we talk about a breakout and then it happens on video. If you're interested in that video I did like 3 months ago, you can watch that in the top right. That was pretty funny. Anyway, Ethereum's also doing pretty well. It's hovering up here around around $218.91. I can't speak today, guys. And it's up about 1.5% over the last 24 hours. The altcoin market is looking rather okay today. We'll sort by change over the last 24 hours in a second and see what's going on, but overall the altcoin market is doing okay. XRP is having a little bit of a retracement. It's down by about 5% over the last 24 hours. That's not really a big deal though, and I'll show you why if we get time to talk about XRP later on. One of the big ones that we have to talk about in today's video is also Bitcoin Cash, because Bitcoin Cash has had a very good night. What we've basically seen here over the last 2 or 3 weeks is just all of the top 5 altcoins have just been popping off like popcorn kernels. We saw Ethereum do really, really well. We saw Ethereum jump like 30% in the span of a week. And just recently, we saw XRP run over 110%. Now we've seen Bitcoin Cash run over 25% in the last 24 hours. Is EOS next? I don't know. And also, one thing I want to point out is that why is all of this happening to individual altcoins, but much of the valuation that is flowing into these altcoins isn't being distributed amongst the rest of the cryptocurrencies? Because we saw XRP run over 100% in one day, but we didn't really see a whole lot of price action come out of Bitcoin in that time. So is that manipulation? Do you guys think that's manipulation? If you guys know me, if you've watched the channel for a while, you know I'm the last person that will scream manipulation, because a lot of times it's an unsubstantiated claim. In this case, though, it is a little strange. That's definitely a possibility. It may be someone coming in here and propping up each and every single altcoin to try and get us excited again. Maybe it's someone trying to manipulate a bull market into starting, which, hey, I'm not exactly going to blame them if they want to go ahead and do that. That's up to them. Anyway, like I said, EOS is the last altcoin here in the top 5 that hasn't had a really good day, other than Bitcoin, of course, but Bitcoin's not an altcoin. But EOS is still having a rather decent day. It's up by about 5% over the last 24 hours. If we sort by change over the last 24 hours, what we're going to see is that the altcoin market is actually doing rather well. We see Eternal token is up 28%. Bitcoin Cash, like I said, is up 27%. That's a big deal for a top 5 cryptocurrency to be moving that much, so definitely a good day for Bitcoin Cash. Electronium's up almost exactly 25%, and Bitcoin Gold, funnily enough, is actually up 18%. And number 5 here is actually Litecoin. Litecoin's having a pretty good day for itself as well. But if we zoom down here by a change over the last 24 hours, what we're going to see is that the altcoin market is majority green. We do see a little bit of red, and it's not a very deep red at all. We do see one loser, and that is Metaverse ETP, and that is just an absolutely sad-looking price graph over the last 24 hours. It was doing fine. Metaverse ETP, you were doing fine. You were trading sideways and then went and jumped off the metaphorical cliff. I guess he's been taking some lessons from Bitcoin lately. Anyway, I think that's basically everything we wanted to cover here. I'll go ahead and talk about Bitcoin dominance here for a second, because a lot of these altcoins, they've just been popping off like popcorn kernels recently, and we have actually seen a reversal in Bitcoin's market dominance, and this is significant. Let's go to the year-to-date chart so it's pretty obvious here. We've seen Bitcoin's market dominance just climb and climb and climb and climb and climb, climb and crawl and claw. It's all the way up here to around 57% back here in early to mid-September, and it's actually been dropping off lately, and that's a very interesting predicament. And a lot of that valuation has actually gone into XRP. As you can see right down here, the triangle right here, right next to my mouse cursor, that represents XRP's market dominance. And XRP jumped from around 5%, 5.5% market dominance up to where it is now close to 10%. So a lot of that valuation that's left Bitcoin has gone straight into XRP, and that shows through because XRP and Ethereum have been flip-flopping on which one is number 2 a lot, which doesn't happen very often. The last time that happened, I believe it was right over here when Bitcoin Cash actually supplanted Bitcoin, when Bitcoin Cash actually went above Ethereum for all of about 10 minutes. I watched that happen. It was in November. I think it was November the 12th, if you guys want to go back and look at that on total market dominance charts. But anyway, it's kind of an interesting thing to see Ethereum Ethereum be usurped by XRP, and it's also a very interesting trend and definitely an important trend to see Bitcoin losing market dominance, because I've talked about extensively in the past about how Bitcoin's market dominance I use as a measure of risk aversion in the market, and to see it going down, in my opinion, means that there's a lot of risk aversion leaving the market. At the same time, that data is corrupted by the fact that XRP has had massive rallies, and a lot of this decline in Bitcoin's market dominance is actually not due to a general altcoin uptrend, but rather XRP doing very, very well over the last week or so. So keep that in mind. I do like seeing Bitcoin's dominance come down because it does give me more hope that the altcoins are going to rally, and the altcoins are much better at starting bull runs and much better at starting rallies than Bitcoin is, at least when Bitcoin is slow and sluggish like it currently has been for the last month or so. Definitely a trend that we'll be keeping up with here on the crypto market recap. Anyway, I believe that's everything we wanted to touch on CoinMarketCap. So let's go ahead and talk about this little rebound, because it's definitely an interesting predicament here. Because like I said in the intro, I can't really find a good reason why Bitcoin bottomed here. Normally when I'm doing my technical analysis and we're out here on the daily chart, or maybe even like the 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart is probably a good place to put this. Normally, I can tell you why, or at least I can tell you where and why the Bitcoin market rebounded, why it got support resistance, why it moved the way it did. Normally, in hindsight anyway, especially in hindsight, obviously, I can say, okay, well, this is what Bitcoin did. This is why Bitcoin bounced here, etc., etc., etc. Like right here, Bitcoin bounced because $6,800 is an important level. Right here, Bitcoin bounced because $6,800 is an important level. All these levels down here bounced because this uptrend is an important level. There's not really a whole lot that we can point to right here at 6,350, just kind of a strange level. I would have expected Bitcoin to come down here to around $6,275 because that was the level that we could touch on the uptrend, but at the end of the day, we were kind of close to it, and sometimes the market isn't as exact as you might want it to be, and it doesn't look as pretty and neat as you might want it to be. So we're not going to go ahead and complain about it, but the Bitcoin market has bottomed at kind of a strange place, but I just want to go ahead and draw that to your attention. One more thing I want to draw to your attention is the hourly chart on Bitcoin, because like you saw in the intro, Bitcoin is currently in this kind of pseudo consolidation pattern here. It's kind of an ugly consolidation pattern, but it is definitely a consolidation pattern, and we are currently breaking above it, so we could actually redraw that to something like this. It's not really a great well-defined consolidation pattern because this uptrend, or excuse me, this downtrend of resistance isn't very well defined, but this uptrend is very well defined, and it has been pushing Bitcoin higher. We could currently draw something like this where we have a bottom over here, a top, and then a top. If we break above this, it would definitely be good for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin would probably be trading up close to $6,600 by the time this video goes live, because this video is recorded a couple hours before it goes live because, you know, internet. But if we do break above this, it would be very, very good for Bitcoin. Go check your charts and see if Bitcoin is broken out of this consolidation pattern. You see what it looks like. We're on the hourly chart. You can go plot it and look at it for yourself, which I always encourage you guys to do technical analysis along with me. But that's definitely something that we could see coming here over the next 12 hours or so, is some kind of break above this downtrend of resistance and actually see some kind of breakout up here to test around $6,600. Like I said, I was a little bit more bearish in the short term, but surprisingly enough, Bitcoin just got a bottom at a really strange place. A lot of times you can tell why Bitcoin's going to bottom somewhere, and I just really don't see why Bitcoin bottomed there. With that in mind, I will show you one level that it could have gotten support on and why it could have happened. We did get support down here at the 20 simple moving average, like I talked about right here. we did see Bitcoin came down, and on the wicks, or excuse me, on the candlesticks anyway, we did come down here and get support around the 20 SMA. That's definitely a possibility. You could definitely say we got a bounce there. Normally, you don't see a ton of major market swings like that happening around the 20 SMA. As you can see, we don't have a lot of market movement around it. We do see a lot of market movement around the 20 EMA. Those are two different things, by the way. These are two different moving averages. We do see a lot of trading around the 20 EMA, but this is not the 20 EMA. Right now, we're actually probably going to end up getting resistance on the 20 EMA if the breakout of that triangle pattern that I showed you doesn't go well. Anyway, like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about on Bitcoin. I want to talk about the MACD really quickly, but other than that, we're going to be moving on to XRP and Ethereum here in just a second. But I do want to point something out on the MACD, and that was a couple videos ago I was talking about how the histogram was coming back down here to 0 on the daily MACD for Bitcoin. But actually, that started to reverse. As you can see, these two bars right here are about the same distance, and that makes it look like the MACD line is actually going to start curving up away from the signal line, and we may not actually see the bearish cross here that we were expecting to come in the next couple of days. We're definitely in this kind of decision period for the next week or so, guys. It's going to take maybe 48 hours for Bitcoin to really decide which direction it's going to go. If it gets above $6,600, then it's very possible that we come up and we do actually fulfill the Fibonacci consolidation pattern thing that I talked about in the video you can watch in the top right, where we come up to the 61.8% level. That's definitely something that's possible. Like I explained in another video recently, though, I was expecting Bitcoin to go a bit lower. Perhaps that's not going to happen, guys. I am, of course, fallible. I am by no means right 100% of the time. Anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about Ethereum, because there is something I want to show you on the Ethereum US dollar chart. And that would be this downtrend right here. I've talked about this downtrend in previous videos, and this is a downtrend that I think is actually pretty strong on Ethereum. Yes, I thought I said XRP again. This is a downtrend that's actually pretty strong on Ethereum because we've seen a lot of trading around it. This kind of starts way back over here where we have a pivot point for the downtrend right here, and then we have a set point way over here right here, and then we have a bunch of trading around it recently. After Ethereum, went down to around $170, put a bounce in, and then managed to run about 35%, we saw some resistance on this level, and now we've actually gotten above it, and then we came down here and got support on it. And in the last 4 hours or so, we've seen a very strong bounce off of it right around here. Now, of course, you can draw this downtrend in a couple of different ways because it's a very long-term downtrend, and it's not an exact downtrend. It's kind of more a downtrend zone of support rather than a downtrend level of support, just because it's not as precise as you might want it to be. But nevertheless, we have seen a nice little bounce here over the last couple of hours, and we could definitely think about putting a trade in here. I'm not going to trade this. I'm going to spectate this and use this as a learning experience, but I have a feeling that based on the way the rest of the market is looking right now, that Ethereum and XRP and Bitcoin Cash and EOS and Bitcoin and all these big cryptocurrencies are probably going to start moving up over the next couple of days. And I know that seems weird because just a couple of days ago I was saying they were going to move down, but like I said, I didn't expect Bitcoin to bounce at 63.50. What a strange level for Bitcoin to bounce at. Tell me in the comment section down below if you agree with that sentiment. Anyway, like I said, not a whole lot to cover on Ethereum. I just want to draw your attention to this little bounce on this downtrend here because I have been watching this for a while, ever since it's really become relevant back over here a week or so ago. One thing that we also see on Ethereum is that Ethereum also is currently bullish according to the MACD, and the MACD line is far above the signal line. Ethereum is definitely looking rather good, but at the same time, the stochastic RSI is curving down. A lot of the times when you see these two indicators disagreeing with each other, what you'll notice is that stochastic RSI is very good for referencing short-term price movements, and MACD is better for referencing a slightly longer-term price movements. Not massively longer price movements in relation to stochastic RSI, but what this might tell you if you ever see this come up is that we may see a little bit more downtrend for a little while, and then MACD will come in to save the day and continue pushing us up. That's definitely something that could possibly happen, but if Ethereum comes back down below $200, it's probably not going to be very good. We could hopefully at least see Ethereum come down instead of double bottom at 170. Anyway, like I said, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about something on XRP, and we're going to wrap the video up. There's not a whole lot to talk about today, guys, but one thing I wanted to show you is this little pennant right here that I found on on XRP, and like I said, this video is recorded a couple of hours before it goes up simply because of my internet, but at the same time, if this hasn't broken out yet, I want you guys to go on your XRP over US dollar chart, and it's the same thing on XRP over BTC. You can see this on XRP over BTC. Both of these charts look very, very similar right about now because they're trading so quickly that they just have to. But what we've seen is that both of these markets have moved into this kind of consolidation pattern, a pennant, whatever you want to call it. The fact of the matter is it's a triangle pattern, and when you break a triangle pattern, you typically see a lot of volume, guys. As you can see, I just got rid of a triangle pattern over here that we saw a massive green candlestick come out of. Another example of where triangle patterns have been very powerful on XRP. Let's go to the 15-minute chart, and I'll show you one. If we zoom back over here, and then we see this right here, this triangle pattern right over here. Can you guys see it? Let me add, before I show you guys, can you see the triangle pattern? If you can see the triangle pattern, you have chart vision. Where is it? It's right here. Let me show you. We have the downtrend right here. And we have the uptrend right there. That is a consolidation pattern on Ethereum, on XRP, excuse me, and we did see this as a continuation pattern because a lot of the times that's what these are. It's kind of a continuation pattern, and as you can see, when we broke bullish out of it, it was very good for XRP here on the 15-minute chart. Over here, we were in a consolidation pattern. We broke bearish out of it, and it was very bad for the XRP chart. These are very powerful. These are very powerful indicators. They are very powerful formations, I should say, and seeing one of them broken typically does lead to a lot of price action. What I would recommend, guys, and I'm not going to make any recommendations about whether you trade this or not, but if you're going to trade this, what I would recommend is waiting for a breakout of this consolidation pattern. After you get a confirmed breakout with a lot of volume coming in, let me show you what I mean by that. If we see a big volume candlestick come in here, like over here, this would be what I'm talking about, a big volume climax, like right here, right there, right there, right over here. See some big green candlesticks on like the 5-minute, the 15-minute chart on the volume candles, then we broke in one of these uptrends or downtrends, then you could go ahead and long or short this with a lot of leverage if you want to. I'm not by any means encouraging leverage trading, but that is definitely one option if you guys want to go that route. Like I've never really talked about leverage on the channel, but since I brought it up, be very careful with leverage, guys. You can lose a lot of money very quickly. You can make a lot of money very quickly. If you use leverage, be very careful with it. Anyway, guys, I think that basically wraps it up for the video. Tell me what you think about Bitcoin bottoming down here at such an odd level of $6,350. I guess you could say it bottomed at the 20 SMA on the daily chart, but, you know, that's kind of just an unsatisfying bottom. A lot of times you can find a bottom happening because of some level of support or resistance on a trend line or some kind of horizontal level of support and resistance. It doesn't happen as much on moving averages, although it does happen a lot. It just doesn't happen a whole lot in the way it did. It's just kind of strange. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think about that. Markets, of course, are going to be strange sometimes, and this might just be one of those times where the market did something kind of weird. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.